Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Doing well. How are you?
Tired.
I probably need to run out of here and go turn the water off. Left it on.
For the garden?
Yeah. I'll drain all the water in my house.
That'd be all right. Yeah, we didn't get back from the Red Sox game until 1 in the morning. We left at like 2:30. Well, yeah, 2:30, and we stopped at the store. And I like to, I don't necessarily want to get down there early. I just don't want to sit in traffic forever. But traffic was fine going in. It's actually just, it was good. I mean, it was a Monday, so it wasn't bad. But we left, and we get, first of all, I missed the turn. So we had to do a little 10-minute screw up because I needed to go right to 93. And yeah, so that was frustrating to start with. And then we got up just a little bit up the road from on 93 from Boston, and road construction. The left 3 lanes closed ahead. Well, you know, when you take 4 lanes of interstate and go down to 1 lane, it took like at least a half hour to get through. And then I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Nah, I can't stand traffic. I don't like driving in the city.
I mean, I get why they do it at night, because that makes sense, because during the day it would be a horrible nightmare for people. So, I mean, I couldn't complain about it because I understand it, but it's like, why does it have to be 3 lanes? Like, can't you do 2 lanes and then do 2 lanes or something? But, yeah, it is what it is. They won, though. I think maybe you're just a bad luck. I've been 3 times now, and they've won twice.
Yeah, my buddy sent me some promotion going out to Astros game tonight.
We did last night. We got the Andrew's got him, the number 99. I can't remember his name now. Alex left fielder. Anyways, his chain. They're doing the chain promotion last night.
You got one?
Yeah, we actually got one.
You don't have it on this morning? You're not sporting
Dude, I really could get out of bed this morning.
I'm glad I could be bad luck for the Red Sox, too, by the way, because I'm not a fan of baseball or the Red Sox.
You're not a fan of any real sport, though, really?
Not anymore. They got too political.
They all cheat.
Well, they cheat.
They're all political.
All political, and I don't watch sports to have somebody talk to me about whatever. Like, if you're watching this, you know that you're going to get local news, you get some state news, and, you know, we may or may not be wrong, but I've come to watch you play, and I appreciate that you have your own personal feelings or whatever, but
I do want to actually say something positive from last night.
I mean, there's some, I guess, that probably studied in college that graduated with degrees that.
So, we
confer on them.
We're like right past the pesky pole and like back like 7 rows right from the wall, whatever. So we went and got our seats, and then, of course, a lot of kids and stuff come up because during batting practice, which I will say during batting practice, the Red Sox, I kind of saw a little bit of it. They didn't throw any balls out into the stands. But then when the Tigers took the field, they threw tons of balls out. But this guy came over, Tariq Skubal, who's number 29 on the Tigers. And I got to say, it was pretty cool because this little kid that was in front of us, probably 6', 7", asked for a ball, and he walked over to him, asked him, like, who's his favorite player, and I couldn't hear what he said, but he's like, wait, I'm not your favorite player? You know, goofing around with him. And then he asked him, like, what his name was. He's like, oh, it's a cool name, I like your name, and, like, had a conversation with him, and I love stuff like that, because that guy probably realizes the power he has on a young person like that, or any person like that, because, I mean, hell, we're talking about today that it frustrates me when people, like, we're talking about the politics things and talking about, you know, baseball and these professional athletes getting political. They don't realize the influence and power they have over that. Like, that made that kid's day.
Yeah,
like, that's a huge thing. And I feel like if I had power like that, I would use it every day to try to benefit people. And so shout out to him for doing that.
That's cool.
He was one of the pitchers for them. And it was cool. There was another one. There was another pitcher there who he kind of walked over, and he was close enough, and I'm like, hey, I like your shirt, because he's wearing a shirt that said failed starter on it. I was like, that is hilarious. Like, that is so friggin' awesome. But yeah, it was cool. It was a good game. They won 5-2, and yeah, no, it was a good game. It was a good night. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too. It actually got a little bit chilly towards the end of it, but
I bet it was cold.
yeah, a little bit towards the end. It wasn't.
I mean, it's warm.
It was a
this
good night.
morning.
It was a good night. Yeah. So yeah, it was a late night, but that was like for me that was the highlight. Well, that and David Ortiz and Manny were there last night,
Oh,
and because when Manny was inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame, for some reason he couldn't make it, so he came out first, and then Ortiz came out, and they hugged on the field. And I got a couple pictures. I'll throw these up at the end of the show, and I thought that was really awesome. That was cool to be just in there. Yeah, like last time, one of the first games I went to, I think with Devin, it was a while ago. Ortiz had a grand slam when I was there, which was pretty cool. So I miss those two. Those are like the two real good players. So
that's
much,
interesting.
yeah.
Sounds like a big truck.
Is it your oil?
Oh yeah, it's Tuesday.
It's your oil. You're currently watching right now on this show Steve's money go bling, 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 bling. Because he's getting an oil delivery. Speaking of our local sponsors, want to thank Wicked Awesome Adventures for coming on as a sponsor. Yesterday I had her logo on my computer, but you couldn't really see it, so I'll just put it up real quick. You still can't really see it. But I'm trying to put it on the timeline on the side and kind of switch them back and forth. And then you're going to try to make it a little darker. You're going to do that yesterday, but you looked through your email like, oh no, I forgot to do that. And I forgot to put an L on the end of Hotmail because no one has Hotmail anymore. So
I do.
yeah, I mean, I can't say too much. I have Yahoo, but Hotmail is like behind that. Do you have AOL still?
No. My dad might.
That's funny though. Gonna come up to the house, well, the landlady, and help me put my plants in.
Yep, I'm going to go, when we finish the show here, I'm going to go buy 7 San Marzano tomato plants. I saw them somewhere. They're heirloom paste tomato. Either the turkeys, because I haven't put up the wire fencing yet around the split row, or the water just crushed my seedlings. So I went out and took stock this morning before I started watering. I'm going to drain all the water out of the house. I just tried to text Zeta from email, so maybe she'll see it and turn the water off.
Probably not.
It's really bothering me that I left that water on.
Well, the big truck just drove over the hose, so maybe
It's
it broke
probably
it.
crushed. It's all probably just pouring out on the driveway now.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Are you starting to panic?
A little bit. I'm one of those guys I can't, yeah, I mean, you should know this about me. I can't let something go.
Oh, I know. I like to exploit that. It makes good entertainment.
It's,
Every time I
I'm glad
drive,
it's entertaining to you.
every time I drive over that hose, I cringe because like, oh, Steve's gonna get mad when we drive over his hose.
Well, I try to keep it to where the connector is off of the driveway, so
Yes.
you're just going over the hose.
Yes, because if I drove over the connector,
Yeah.
you'd have a.
But I moved the water right before you got here, so I moved it. So I don't know if I pulled it. Did you notice?
It was like in the middle.
Oh,
It
it
should
was?
been.
Okay.
Yeah, it should have been all right.
So hopefully this guy wasn't like a, because some people be like, oh, let me run this over,
They make things you can put over so you can run over them and like not run over the hose, like they little ramp thingies. The fire department used to have them like for their bigger hoses.
I probably need to get that so I could just leave it there.
Yeah, then you don't have to mess with it or get more hose, and we could run it down the side of the driveway. But that's a lot of hose. Like I was looking at this garden I just put in. I have water at the barn, and this is probably 400 or 500 feet away. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
whoa, that's gonna be a lot of hose.
Well, it's supposed to rain tomorrow or Thursday.
Thursday, I heard.
I think it's backed up a day, or
Yeah.
the timing shifted on it. But the seeds should be fine, and I'll water the seedlings I bought for you so that they go into the ground with some water already on the roots, so that they should be fine.
Yeah, I finally got it squared up. So it's more square than yesterday I was talking about. So I don't know. You'll look at it. It's probably, say, 50 by 50. It might not be quite that big, but
Did you put a cattle panel around it, or?
no, I haven't done any of that yet. Because I want to rototill it first. There shouldn't be a lot of rocks in it. I mean, not like yours, because this is loam I took off the field. I picked some rocks out as I put it on, but there is a lot of sod in different places, so I'm going to rototill it a few times, take out the sod, and then we can plant it. And just gonna go to my grandpa's later and pick up the tractor first, so I can do that because I rode to his garden a week ago or something like that. Tractor hasn't been on my land in like 2 months.
Yeah, it was here for a while.
Luckily, the loader worked. So, trying to think what else was a local thing I want to talk about before we got into any of the other stuff. But this weekend,
It's a busy weekend.
busy
here in
weekend,
Newport.
very busy. So Save a Stray 5K at 10 a.m.
Skipping that one.
Yeah, we're gonna skip the 5K. Not saying that you should, but we're gonna skip it. And then Wings and Wheels right at Parliament Field at 11, so 11 to 2. And looking forward to that. I think that's gonna be a big event this year. It was a good sized event last year, and I think it's gonna be a really good event this year. So airplanes and trucks, cars, all that good stuff. I think I'm gonna bring my truck down just to put it in the mix, add more vehicles, and we'll be there, walk around. We'll have to do a little bit of job and do a car nut, so we'll see if Felicia will do the camera for us, and we'll have to interview some people. I think we got the wireless mic thing figured out, so
I think so.
I think we finally can do that.
We need to make sure it's.
Because we try to get better, and then we show up and things don't work, and it's like, are you kidding me? And then at 4:30 to 10 o'clock on Saturday, Rolling Thunder is doing a charity event at the Moose in Newport. Roadhouse is playing. It's $25 a person. It's a barbecue dinner, and the band goes for a great cause. So check that out. Also, farmers market every Friday from 3 to 6. We'll probably check that out this Friday, and see what they have down there. Also getting piglets later. I found some.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted 4, but this lady had 3, and so I was like, well, I'm not gonna be greedy. 3 will work. We'll make this work, and I still gotta put mine 2 together. So hopefully she will have some. And takes. They say the rule is 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. But that's if she gets pregnant when you think she did. Like I thought she did over the winter, but it didn't happen. But and then this is a couple weeks out, but it's coming very fast. So Goshen Fire Department is doing a barbecue chicken dinner on July 9th from 11:30 to 1. It costs $12, and you need to pre-buy. So you can reach out to any of the fire department members over there and say, hey, I'd like to get a couple of those chickens. Those barbecue chickens are really good. Yeah, they just pre-buy. It must be so that they don't have any waste or whatever. Have you ever had fireman's chicken?
I have.
It's good stuff. We got it actually. I think that's what we're supposed to do on the 2nd for Alicia's graduation, because I have the whole setup to do it. I'll volunteer you for that if you're not doing anything on the 2nd.
I've never cooked it, but I've had it. I've eaten it.
It's hot. So the hot coals and everything in there. You have to stand there and keep flipping it. So, not a dig on Newport. With Newport Fire Department, we started to burn their chicken. And when I was on Croydon Fire, we didn't. But I think the reason is Newport had a lot. They're doing a lot at once. So we do 2 racks at once. So like 50 chickens. They're trying to do 300 or something like that. You got to keep flipping it. It's like a constant. It's quite the exercise, and it gets hot. But if you keep flipping it, it doesn't burn it, and it comes out really good. So they've got like a little tray. They got a little setup now for theirs. But and then I saw this story. We talked about the Manchester shooting thing yesterday, and I just wanted to mention again, because this is the stuff that really irritates me. If you want to talk about the slant of any media, so this Channel 9, news. Man's death in Manchester shooting where multiple officers fired weapons ruled a homicide. Well, unless he committed suicide, it is a homicide no matter what. But the headline is like, so if you read that quick and you didn't know that, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, these officers murdered this guy. Because a homicide's murder, right? Typically, it's a killing of
I don't
somebody.
know what else it would be rolled.
Right. So,
I
but
mean,
then,
it is an actual homicide. He was killed by.
right. But then you read into the story, multiple officers fired, it's rule of homicide. And then they're going to determine the exact circumstances surrounding the incident under investigation. So then what would happen is they'd release that, it was justifiable or whatever. Like, because any police involved shooting, It'll either be self-defense. Either way, it's
It's
homicide,
homicide.
no matter what. But the
When
headline
someone
is
is killed by someone else, it's a homicide.
yes, it's just a
Is
misleading.
it justified or is it?
Exactly, but the headline is just misleading. So if you read that quick, you're like, oh my god, the Manchester Police Department murdered a guy. No,
They killed a guy.
they killed a guy who was armed and
Yeah, I mean that's a headline to catch.
right.
So,
But
but
that's the
the
crap.
thing is you got to know that they rule all death by another
Yes.
homicide.
All
Now
homicide.
they just got to figure out, is it justified or do they over
Right.
use their force?
Right, whatever.
What?
But it's just.
But yeah, it's to create like what I always say, it's to create fear, anger, anxiety. Now you're not trusting the Manchester Police Department based on a headline if you don't read the whole story and
Right.
you don't understand that all murders or all deaths of humans caused by other humans are called a homicide. That's just
Right.
That's a fact. Like,
Right.
yeah, it is a homicide, but what's your point of this article?
Exactly.
The point of the article is to say they haven't ruled yet because it's too early and they're going to do an investigation to find out whether it was justified or not.
But it doesn't.
They can't put that in the headline because then you're not going to want to read it. You're not going to get
Right.
that anxiety and want to read more. Like it's,
And even
it's meant to bring you in to read more. I mean, we're taught that.
But even the headline, I mean, man's death in Manchester shooting where multiple officers fired weapons, ruled a homicide, AG's office says. I mean, the story doesn't have much more than what the headline has.
Yeah, the headline.
But it's just to like stir things up, I think. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. But
maybe it's just our lens that we're looking through it. But yeah, I'm
maybe.
with you. It's like all the other articles where I have many different
But you
examples
think in
I
the-
could pull up and show, but we'd probably get
but a lot of people
censored.
don't know that, right? Like we know that, but a lot of people wouldn't, you know. And I mean, I don't know if you should or shouldn't. I don't know the answer to that, but a lot of people wouldn't realize that is, and they would read that, and then that's how rumors start, and that's how crap gets spread around, and like
Yeah,
at least the articles could say
distrust in the Manchester Police Department.
right. But if you put in the article that every death like that is, you know, considered a homicide until it's
Well,
investigated,
that would keep people calm, and then
Right.
what good does that do?
because this just says that the circumstances surrounding the incident are still under investigation, so it doesn't even.
Right. So it's just there to continue to make you distrust police, firearms, all kinds of. I mean, there's all kinds of things that, and you might say I'm a cynic for looking at it that way. It's just a simple headline, but I don't know. I studied this stuff. This was interesting to me in college. I spent my last 2 years of my undergraduate degree studying media, film, and how it all relates to influencing us as a population.
Yeah.
You can call it propaganda. Back then, we didn't necessarily call it propaganda, but it was influencing.
Right. I mean, back then when you went to school, though, it was less
I don't know.
propaganda. Wow, that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
I caught it when I was 12 or 13, watching ABC News at 5:30. Peter Jennings. I caught all kinds of stuff that didn't make sense to me at that young of an age, and I'm one of these guys that believes, you know, yeah, I don't know, just look at everything through a lens of. And see, it makes me sound cynical, but you need to be cynical sometimes when approaching this type of stuff, because I'll read an article today and then 3 days from now they'll recant it somehow and it'll be hidden and I'll never know. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, well, this article, I read it. And then people are like, well, they recanted that. But I've already moved past that. Like that information has been absorbed and I'm moving past it.
No, it's or like when they make corrections in a newspaper. I mean, newspapers aren't very popular anymore. I mean,
It'd be on like the back page
Yes.
of section
yes,
Z.
right.
You know,
it was headline
there's a
yesterday,
headline on A1.
and then we're bringing it back to the very back of the
very
paper.
back page. It'll be like corrections. Will be they would have it
We're
like in the
completely
index
wrong.
or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just why can't we
Just
just
take
all?
everything with a grain. Yeah, we all just need to get along and realize that we're a community that needs to help each other out. And I think that's why I ran for the school board. That's why, I'm trying to grow a bigger garden than what I need so I can share with others because, the world looks crazy right now.
The world's crazy right now. At least this country's crazy. Maybe the rest of the world's not as
And we
crazy.
have such a small town. There's 6,500 of us, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
we can all take care of each other if we needed to.
Yeah. No, it's just. It's like.
I'm the kind of guy, if I disagree with you on something vehemently, political or whatever. But if you need help, I'm going to help you. Like,
Right.
unless you have hurt a kid, or you know what I'm saying. Like, there's certain things that like I can't. It's I'm not big enough to forgive people for certain things, and maybe that's my character flaw.
Yeah, but everyone has that like
That line
line.
just won't cross. But you know what I'm saying. In the grand scheme of things, you can walk by me, flip me off while I'm out protesting and whatever. But
Been there,
tomorrow,
done that.
tomorrow you need something, I'll be there for you because hey, that's you disagree with me, but that doesn't mean that we have to not like each other.
I got to be honest. You drive by protesting and flip me off and need something the next day, you can pound sand.
Yeah, well,
But that might be the difference between me and you. I would.
tell them I truly.
Now,
try
if their
to
house is
find-
on fire, something like that, and I was driving by, that's a whole different level.
I try to find the best in people because if you think about it, we're sitting here and you and I approach reading news articles differently than probably most people in town. Most people in town are like, oh, yeah, there are a bunch of murdering cops down there.
Right.
Right? Because they don't think twice about it. They see the headline and they move past it because the article is only 8 sentences long. It says, yeah, they got to investigate it.
Yeah.
Doesn't say all murder, all death by guns are considered homicides at the beginning. Like,
It's just, yeah. I don't know.
suicide is death by yourself. I mean,
Right. Self-inflicted.
yes.
It's, yeah.
I don't know. But at the end of the day, I can't be mad at them for. I mean, this is the way they've been taught. Like, people are taught to trust the guy or gal speaking to them on the television. And I was even taught that. Like, not taught to, like, trust them, but I was taught, hey, you get your daily dose, find out what's going on in the world, stay in tune.
It still was different, though, because I look back when I grew up, Peter Jennings, he was the guy, and that's, like, we watch ABC, Peter Jennings. And I love Peter Jennings, but the stories weren't the same as they are today. The stories today, they bring all these opinionated people onto the show, and
Oh,
let's
it's all
discuss
opinion.
it.
Yeah.
It's not, Peter Jennings would tell you the news. Was it slanted? I'm sure it was slanted to some degree. Of course. Like, this show is slanted to some degree.
Exactly.
But
we can't help it. We're all human.
Right.
I understand that.
But Peter Jennings didn't have 10 people coming on the show to be like, so tell me about this. And then they would go off on their BS. It would be, here's the news, you decide. And that's what's supposed to happen. Here's the news, you decide for yourself. But when you write headlines like, is rule a homicide, these 6 officers, blah, 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 you think these 6 officers murdered this guy. No. You'll find
They killed him.
they killed him, and I'm sure it'll end up in the end. It was justified. There'll be X amount of reasons, whatever. The whole bit will work out. But you're just pushing headlines instead of saying that, he didn't commit suicide. It's a
Because it's a business now. It's a very
Yes,
lucrative
big business.
And
Yeah.
so as more and more money is pumped into these things, they answer to someone.
Yeah.
That's why I said on like episode 1 through 5 at some point that I tend to, like, I'll go and I'll read headline news just to see what they're trying to sell me. And then I'll go to independent journalists, look through Substack and all these other different places that I've found over the years and see what they think on it. And so then I can compare the two because you know that some people are going to have a liberal slant, some people are going to have a conservative slant. Everybody has it. We have it.
Right. I don't know what our slant is yet, but
I mean, we slant more towards, I don't know, I would say that if you were to watch us open-mindedly, we're probably come across more libertarian. I do, probably anyway. I mean, you did talk in terms of rhinos and everything else, but
I'm an American patriot.
at the end of the day, I think
I believe in the Constitution. I believe in our country. I believe in the American flag. Like,
I love America.
I don't believe in, I love my country, and I don't believe in political parties.
Almost 25 years of my life
Yeah, it's a good chance.
in service to the country.
Love
So
your country.
I mean, I love my country.
Yeah. Speaking of that, here's a perfect meme of the day. This is so true. It's crazy. This is the USA. There is no one coming to our rescue if things go sideways. No one will be resupplying us. No one will airdrop food, ammunition, and medicine. There is no place to escape for freedom. This is it, and that is so true. The UN, none of them are going to bring us in food. None of us are going to be rescued by it. None of that's going to happen.
I wouldn't take food from the UN.
No, but the point is, this is it. This is the last stand. This is the freest country on earth, still, believe it or not, and we have to stop letting it just go and go and not let anything, not stopping anything. We just keep letting things.
Hey, we
like,
need to stop
whatever.
sending all of our money overseas to places where.
Did you see the story that that 40 billion apparently still didn't make it to Ukraine, and now they're trying to figure out where it is?
That wouldn't surprise me.
And then last week we talked about how the Secretary of Defense was saying that we need to, send the same amount of money all over again. Why? Because you lost the first one and there's some pockets of some people, or what? Just curious.
Glad I retired when I did.
Yeah, you got out a good time. I wouldn't want to be. I can't imagine now. And then how do you get people that want to join now, like with all the crap that happens? Like, we have a woke story after this next one, but
It's not the one where they're teaching them the. I don't know. I'll just wait and see what your woke story is.
there's so many of them out there that we could go. So this next story is doctors take on Biden administration for the right to try ivermectin as a COVID-19 treatment. So this group of doctors, okay, so these are doctors. This isn't Tim and Steve. These are doctors. Have filed a lawsuit against the FDA and the Department of Health and Human Services over what they claim is an unlawful
Prohibitive.
Yes. Use of ivermectin treatment for COVID-19. So basically the FDA and the Department of Health and Human Services has said you cannot treat COVID-19 with ivermectin.
Isn't that like weird to anybody? Like, let's just take your emotions out of it.
Yeah, you think
Ivermectin is an award-winning drug for what it did over in Africa for the one, I can't remember what it was. It was a blood-borne disease, right? Like getting worms or something. I can't remember, whatever it is. It's a horse dewormer, right? I mean, that's one of the uses.
In the U.S. is what it's sold in. It's sold as the horse dewormer, but it's not. First of all, one thing people don't realize, or some people probably do, but most medications that go to animals are used for humans and vice versa, which is weird because there's no treatment for Lyme disease, or no, there's no preventative for Lyme disease. Yet we give our dogs stuff for Lyme disease, which doesn't make sense because if you have leftover medication, heart medication, or any of that kind of stuff, vets a lot of times will take it because they can use it for dogs and whatever. So there's a big transfer over of medication from humans to animals. That happens all the time, and that's not conspiracy. That's not like that. Just happens. But
I wouldn't care if I'm taking something for me that's for this, but it treats this too. I mean,
yeah,
who cares?
Yeah,
Like, it's not going to insult me if you tell me I'm taking a horse pill or whatever. I haven't taken the horse ivermectin or whatever.
Right. But so this lawsuit claims numerous examples of what doctors call formal, unequivocal, and conclusive this reading thing is really getting me lately. Action by the FDA to prohibit or otherwise interfere with the use of ivermectin to treat COVID-19. What exactly are they so worried about?
We talked about it yesterday. If they have something on the market,
then they'd have to stop selling their
experimental
crap.
stuff. Yes, all their experiments go away.
This case is about who determines the appropriate treatment for each unique patient and whether the FDA can interfere with that process. The complainant states, which are there doctors on the FDA? I mean, I'm sure there's some, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but
there's scientists. There's all kind I don't know. I'm influenced because you watch any movie from the last 30 years, and the CDC, if it's ever involved with a disease or an outbreak, is involved because of their failure or their.
Keep in mind, the CDC is not a government organization. Many people think it has nothing to do with the government. It's a private organization that the government that has said that we take our information from this group, whose number one donors are
it's like
Gates,
I fell asleep
Pfizer.
last night reading some pamphlet that the Rockefeller Center put out 2 years ago. Much similar.
Swiss cheese?
No, I
No
mean,
Swiss cheese.
tell them you're so immature that you won't believe a Swiss cheese diagram with viruses flying through the holes in the Swiss cheese. I mean, that's how you convince me that real science is at work. By the way, a flying virus through 7 layers of Swiss cheese. That, I mean, I was convinced once I saw that. I mean, the Rockefeller Center put that out, so it's true. But anyway, as part of my research that I'm doing on the food supply system, oddly enough, Rockefeller predicted in 2020 exactly what would be going on right now. So anyway, that's my goal for Friday, is to try to put this all into a coherent, just my analysis of what all I found that at least makes me question the narrative of certain things.
Yeah, yeah. So this says I have kept over 3,900 patients out of the hospital, but it hasn't been easy. Sadly, fighting the system has been much bigger challenge than fighting the disease, Dr. Mary Talon-Bowden said in a statement. Despite my excellent track record treating COVID-19 patients, the FDA's smear campaign against ivermectin continues to be a daily hurdle to overcome. I'm fighting back. The public needs to understand what the FDA has done is illegal, and I hope this suit will prevent them from continuing to interfere with the doctor-patient relationship. If doctors are freed to treat patients according to their best judgment and some of it is unprejudiced. If I'd make the freaking bigger so I could read it, or get glasses, that'd be a good idea too. Evaluation of medical literature, many thousands more deaths and serious disabilities would be averted, added Dr. Robert Abdapt. So, which I remember like right in the middle of COVID, there's like 100 doctors or something come out. And YouTube, yeah, I should be careful what I say about YouTube, but whatever. So they banned the video of this because they were saying, like, basically they're going against the grain on what these people are saying, as in the system or whatever.
This is what I would recommend to anybody that listens and trusts their doctor, as we were taught to do, is ask them what they think about all the warnings on the stuff. And if they have a serious conversation with you and they can, and they've done their research, then I would trust them. But if you ask your doctor and they say, oh, you need to get a vaccine so we can take masks off. Well, that's not a reason. Like, that sounds like what? That's what, I mean, that's a real example of what I was told. Not for any comorbidities I may or may not have or anything else like that. It was, you need to get the shot so we can take masks off.
That worked out well, didn't it? All these people got shots, still had to wear their mask. They just barely.
I was told by a podiatrist I needed to get vaccinated for the greater good. I was like, all right, communist. Again, there was no medical. My point is that they didn't provide me with a medical reason. It was.
Oh, they lied.
It was for somebody else's benefit, not for my own, right? From the podiatrist, which I didn't really care what he said. And then my doctor a doctor was like, do it so we can take masks off. Well, you can literally go just like this and take it off.
It's called free will. It's kind of in you, and you just have to do it.
But my point is so you see these, like, so there's Dope Sick on Hulu, where they talk about the opioid crisis in the 90s, early 2000s, where doctors were sold a bad bill of goods that
by drug companies.
That they weren't addictive. And then, the story follows a doctor who gets addicted with his own patients and the guilt that he suffers from for hooking all those people on those drugs because he believed what the drug supplier was telling him was that it was non-addictive and everything else. And then, they're all struggling by the end of the show to break their addiction. And
you ever seen House?
I've seen a few episodes. He was a little surly for me. I like a positive show.
He's always right, though. I liked him. I like the show.
That's Hollywood for you.
Yeah.
But my point being is like a medical provider shouldn't just, it'd be like me watching the news and saying I am an expert on American politics.
Right.
I have read books. I've formulated my own opinions. Granted, that's an undergraduate degree, so by the system that's set up, I'm really only allowed by the code of undergraduate and graduate and doctorate degrees. I'm only allowed to synthesize and report back on what other people say. But my point is, you're not an expert if you just watch the news, because the news is slanted, the news is funded by advertisers and everything else. So if a doctor is funded by big pharma, if they're getting allegedly kickbacks for how many prescriptions they give of a certain pill or a certain vaccine or anything else like that, then you got to ask yourself, why are you recommending this to me personally?
Right.
Like, what in my health record says I need to participate in this experiment?
My doctor asked, like, you got vaccinated. I'm like, nope, and I'm all set too. Left at that. Okay, cool. Because that's how it should be. Not, oh, but you need to do this and blah, 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 blah. Because that'd be the last day I saw that doctor. See ya. I don't think so. I'm not your experiment.
Yeah, I'm already worked up. I don't go to the doctor until like September or October, like I said the other day. And my blood pressure's already up because
you have to wear a mask.
And it might have changed. He might have read more by now, and maybe
we'll find out then, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
That'll be a hot show.
I don't even want to think about it. My blood pressure's already rising. But I expect him to be the expert of medical advice.
Right.
So it should be, hey, there are this RNA thing, this is what it really is, this is what we've known that it causes, blah, blah, blah. Like, have a real discussion with me. Don't just sit there and tell me I'm a bad person if I don't do it. I'm putting other people at risk. Not true.
Really got to put your wife on the show one of these days.
Well,
she could tell us a lot of things that...
Well, she reads, and
part
of it probably was
in
the
system.
Questions that I was asking her when all this was going on.
Right.
I mean, her medical app changed. This, like, within 24 hours of a president bragging on a drug, the medical app changed its literature, because when he said it, she looked it up and was like, oh, I was reading about it, and then tried to talk about it with some colleagues at work, pulled up the thing, and it was exact opposite of what she had read the night that it was mentioned on the news. Like, that's part of the reason why Nikki, I don't want to talk for her, but she has some trust issues. Like, is everybody reading everything? Because once she read and has seen it change before her eyes, basically, there's questions to be asked. Like, I get things change, and all right, so we got an update, right? You used to have an update to encyclopedias because more information is garnered on a certain topic or whatever.
But
so
it never
flopped. Update a yearly. But, I mean, it flip-flopped. Immunization, the definition's changed 8 times since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
You can look that up. That's not me making stuff up to try to... I'm just saying, and I'm not saying that the vaccines are necessarily bad. What I'm saying is that I'm not participating in an experiment until they're cleared from experimental use, and I can sue somebody whenever my, carotid has a blood clot and at the length of my entire body. I want to be able to sue somebody.
Yeah.
I've probably got more vaccines than most people listening to this show from being in the military, so I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
Right. But if you look at, it's interesting because you can't, so there's Pfizer commercials and there's vaccine commercials, but there's never Pfizer vaccine commercials or Moderna vaccine commercials because by law, to have it on TV, they have to list the side effects. That's why every commercial you watch, it lists the side effects at super speed, and there's usually a list of them because they'd have to list all the side effects, which they won't do because the list is huge.
And I've been to a doctor where I've asked about a drug or whatever in the past, and they've said, nah, the side effects of that are, for what you have or whatever, just...
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Every drug out there has side effects.
So I know it's possible that doctors do this, right? So it's just one of those things to where, again, I think fear, propaganda, and all kinds of other things went into play with this whole situation that we find ourselves in now. And I'm not mad at you if you went and got a vaccine. Just don't try to act like I need to do it for your sake.
Yeah, no, I agree. And don't push that crap on my kids because it's not happening.
Because you're protected. So
yeah,
if I somehow have it and don't know and you get it from me, then you'll be fine and I'll die.
But by now, all these people like us should be dead, remember?
I haven't tested positive once for COVID.
Funny, I
did a few little light edge nose swab things over the last 2.5 years.
Now you can just blow in a thing and it'll tell you. We got it over Thanksgiving last year, and man, kids, it was nothing. Like, it sucked for me. It was like 10 days of not. It sucked. but wasn't any worse than the flu, and that was before the last like 2 variants. So, and each variant is so as it mutates, it gets less deadly, more catchy, but basically it can mutate itself out of existence. I mean,
Well,
it
it
could take
mutates
forever.
itself into so it can survive without killing its host,
Right,
allegedly.
which is what a virus is. If you Google or don't
Well, I
Google,
mean, is
but
it right?
if you look up
Is
a
it
virus,
changed? How many times has
that's
the
true.
definition of a virus changed?
A virus doesn't want to kill its host; it wants
Right.
to live, and because if it kills its host, it dies.
It's kind of like
So,
us. We don't want to
yeah.
destroy the planet, otherwise we have nowhere else to live,
Right.
unless Elon gets us to Mars.
Right, and then we can destroy Mars.
Yep.
We'll do a good job of that too. So I don't know if this is the joke story of the day. I got the next two are kind of that way, but I heard this on the radio yesterday, and then I was like, "Hey, I saw it on here. Let's talk about it." So it is the UK, but I don't know. That shouldn't make it any different. But male donor, blood donor, 66, required to state on the form that if he's pregnant, part of the new woke UK policy, and he was turned away because he refused to answer the question. And he said for nearly the last 50 years he's been donating blood. And they
Yeah, I
told
would
him why.
never donate blood again.
No, and they said like there's a critical need for blood, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But he
So sad.
refused to check the box that said, "Are you pregnant or could you be pregnant?" And obviously, because he's a male, and males cannot get pregnant because they do not have a uterus or any of the other things that you would need to get pregnant. Ovaries, all those things. Those important things we learned in health class, like when we were, 8th grade or something.
Unless you're living in the movie where they implanted, remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah, was that Mr. Mom?
No, it wasn't Mr. Mom. That was with Michael Keaton, where he gets fired from his job and he
What was that one?
role reverses with his wife.
What was that one?
Not
Arnold.
twins, but
No, Twins was, yeah, I don't remember now.
we talked about it like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
What was it?
Arnold gets pregnant.
And they'll be like, real story, Arnold Schwarzenegger's really pregnant. Oh,
Junior. That's
Junior. That was what year was that?
94.
94. Little do we know in 94 that this would be a topic we'd be discussing in the future now. As, basically if you're not a biologist, you can't determine a male and a female.
Can biologists define it?
I don't know. You
I
have to
don't
be
know what that lady was that was testifying before Congress. Was she a biologist, a doctor?
She was something.
Somebody special.
She was a dumbass. I tried not to use the moron word, to use dumbass. Something better?
No, I think she's brainwashed, or she's scared to say, like, no, seriously, like, men can't get pregnant. That's a biological condition. Well, I mean, who was it? Montana that passed a law recently where you can't change your birth certificate because it's made on the spot by the doctor, and that's what you were when you were born.
Yeah. So
Through observation, because it's an observable.
Right. What was it? Kindergarten
Cop.
Kindergarten cop. Girls have vaginas, boys have penises.
I think you reversed it, but yes, that's the quote.
Yes. I shared that meme on Facebook, and it got fact checked. And I'm not joking. So maybe this is the joke story of the day. This other one, which irritates me even more, I guess.
Why do people not vote with their
Brain?
Well, just like with their dollar or anything else. Like, if I were in the UK and that's their new policy, I would no longer give blood. Other than let the blood donor pool swell down to those who don't mind answering that question. But I think that that's a ridiculous question.
I'd love to ask the Queen what she thinks of that. I think she's probably pretty old school and would not agree with any of this crap.
I don't know. I mean, I got it. You have generational changes, but at the end of the day, it seems to...
You can generational change all you want. Men still can't have babies.
Not yet.
Juneteenth, which was Sunday, celebrated yesterday, national holiday now, closed the banks and whatever. So in New Orleans, Democrat mayor unveils a giant hairpick to celebrate Juneteenth, promptly gets roasted. Like, it's a joke. So a giant afro pick with a clenched black power fist at the top of it. 28 feet tall, 7,000 pounds, right in Lafayette Square. And this was to Lafayette, sorry.
I don't know if that's right.
Lafayette.
There's a town in Louisiana that's pronounced Lafayette, not Lafayette.
Yeah, I don't know. Not sure.
I mean, it's French based, but
It's
so
French
is St.
based.
Louis, but they don't pronounce anything with a French accent in St. Louis. So, like most
But in New Orleans, most things are French. Like, it's a lot of people say New Orleans. It's not New Orleans. It's New Orleans. It's almost like one
word.
one word.
That's the only thing I ever learned from my teacher in the 5th grade, Mrs. Schaefer. That's the only personal fact I knew about her that I can remember anyway, was that she was from New Orleans because she taught us how to pronounce it properly. I've told that story on here before. But.
So let's think about this, though. If me and
I mean, that looks like a onion or what is it, the bumblebee or whatever, the bee.
Yeah, but
the Babylon bee. That looks like a satire.
But it's not. I didn't get it from there. That's a real picture. I don't understand. So, if you look at the media, if you look at everything,
well, I mean,
Republicans are racist, right? Even though Democrats were the KKK, voted against abolishing slavery, all those things. And then here we are with a big Afro pick with a Black Power fist on the top. I
mean, for you and I to sit here, like, I seriously think it's satire. No, I can't.
It's not, though.
I don't know enough about black culture to say anything other than I would think that would be satire. And if you and I built something like that thinking that we were honoring, we would probably get roasted.
Oh, we would.
I'll do some whataboutism or what ifism on that one because that's totally not. But again, I don't know enough about black culture to know if that is offensive. But you said he was roasted about it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it wouldn't be offensive. Like, when I think black people, I don't think of freaking a hair pick.
Me neither.
I think Martin Luther King.
I mean, there was a
Harriet
movie
Tubman.
where, was it Scary Movie? Where one of the characters walked around with one in his afro, but, I just thought that was used.
None of the other black people in the show did, though. Just him.
Yeah.
What was it? What was his name?
He's a Wayans brother.
He was on the Wayans, yeah. So funny.
It's a funny movie.
Funny movie.
The first couple are, anyway.
But I feel like that was even like a... Yeah, I don't know. But
it was satire. That was a movie to make fun of tropes in other movies.
Yeah.
That's why when you showed me that picture yesterday,
it's real.
I thought this is from the Babylon Bee.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate the double standard and everything. That's what I hate. I hate that crap. And you see it everywhere. But apparently the city spent $7.2 million on a local black and brown artist, and their artwork would be displayed around the public buildings in New Orleans, which I'm not against that at all. Like, sure.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm saying it's not really.
But then this other person says in here, so there's like 60 pieces of artwork, but this other person in the story had said that their crime and everything is like through the roof. We could have spent that money on that, which could directly impact the community, because as great as artwork is, it's not going to help your crime or anything else. And yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. Like you keep saying, we live in a bizarre world.
It's crazy.
And there's this. I wasn't going to mention this, but I changed my mind.
So that was the one out of the 60 pieces that was controversial.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't talk about any of the other ones being controversial.
I mean, it's one of those ones where I'm sure for that artist
but it was unveiled on Juneteenth, so unveiled, yeah. So there's a couple things. So yesterday I saw a story, and then today I see another story. So I'm like, we're going to talk about it. We've talked about it a lot, but as more information comes out, I feel like we should talk about it. So Uvalde police had at least one ballistic shield 19 minutes into that massacre, and they still waited and did nothing. And then there was a story yesterday that there was an officer that could have taken a shot at him when he was outside of the school shooting. So he was actually outside the school shooting first. before he went to school to murder those children. The officer said that, there was kids in the background, or whatever. And I don't know. I can't argue that. I don't know because I wasn't there. But the whole thing is really starting to look really screwed up. And I feel like there's a lot of people that should be losing their jobs and much further out of this whole case. Because, so 19 minutes in, it went for like an hour.
It's sad just because there were kids crying,
calling 911
inside the classroom.
Right. So a new report says the Uvalde police had officers with rifles and at least one ballistic shield only 19 minutes into the massacre, and they still decided to wait. The report is likely to raise an intense scrutiny and criticism against the law enforcement authorities who decided to wait more than an hour before taking down the gunmen who continued to murder elementary school students, which, let's keep in mind, it was a Border Patrol agent that actually took him out because his kids were in the school. And then it says police had initially said that they did not seek to engage with the gunman because they thought he had gone from active shooter to a barricaded situation, and they didn't want to risk police officers being killed. And we kind of talked to Chief about that, like that transferring over. But I don't know. It just, and it says if there's kids in there, so one officer said,
these are tough decisions that they have to make. Like, men and women really have to decide when they put on a uniform like that, are they willing to give their life for someone else? Like,
well, this officer here said that, so according to KVUE TV, investigators put together a more detailed timeline of events that showed some officers were growing impatient with waiting outside the room and said, if there are kids in there, we need to go in there, said one officer at 11:52 a.m., about 19 minutes after the gunman entered the school. And then this person said, whoever's in charge will determine that. And then critics were shocked to find out that the children inside the room were calling 911 and begging for help, even as police waited outside. There is some evidence that some of these children were shot and killed while the police waited. And I don't know. And there's this picture, which I can't really put it on, but it just shows the hallway, like, with a ballistic shield. And I don't know. It just comes down to, I was a firefighter for 11 years, and I grew up in the fire department. Like, my parents and grandparents were in the department for like 20 years, a little over 20 years. And if I was to go to a fire and for some reason didn't have my air pack, whatever, and someone's like, there's children in there.
What did they think he was shooting at? Just firing into the walls? Firing?
That's what I don't.
Because he was shooting people allegedly after that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, Steve.
It takes practice. You have to practice and train. And
I mean, they said that they didn't follow any of the protocols in their book either.
That's why it takes, like, the one thing I'll give for the military is you train until you're tired of training, and then you train some more, because you have to train yourself how to react in situations. Because self-preservation it's natural, right? It's a natural thing, and we all hope that if we're ever put in that situation that we will rise to the occasion. But even Chief said in that thing that, like, that's not always. It's not always who you think it is that rises to the occasion.
No, in this case, it was a Border Patrol agent getting a haircut.
And the other thing is something like that, because I'm pretty sure one of those cops said we need to get in there if there's kids still alive, right? Like, I
there was
just said that. I was kind of reading as you were scrolling through. That guy should have made a determination that it was unethical, immoral.
Right, he should have just did it.
For him to stay out there, and he should have grabbed the shield and said, somebody needs to go with me, because people will follow.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But
you have to have the mindset that I'm not going to do anything that's illegal, immoral, or unethical. Like, that's,
right.
I got my, we all make mistakes and we all got character flaws and everything else, but I like to think that I think about those immoral, illegal. Is it immoral, illegal, unethical? And standing there waiting while he's popping off shots in there still, because, I mean, they had to have heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't,
Because the one poor child called 911 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Begging for them to come in and save her.
Nah.
It's sickening, and it's heartbreaking to think about And I think all of us should ask ourselves, what will we do? Because you have to think about those kinds of things. How do you? And that was part of like Chief's thing the other night was, as horrific as it is, you got to avoid, deny, and defend.
Right. And that's you and me. That's not police officers that are trained.
Right. That's just me and you. If we're sitting
Right.
here and all of a sudden,
Right.
We hear something, and our first thing is to try to avoid it.
But the policy is you go in, no matter what. If it's one person, you still go in to try to take out the shooter. So how, in the course of an hour, did it suddenly change from a barricaded person to an active shooter when the shots are still going off?
Inexperience, not knowing what they're doing, not enough training. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons and excuses we can provide, but there's really no proper one. Like, somebody should have went in there and tried to save those kids.
It did.
And we're making this in hindsight. That's not lost on me, but
and this is.
there's obviously poor communication because the girl was calling 911. So somebody should have been relaying that to the officers in the hallway, like there's still a child alive in there, and then that should have immediately been like, all right, we're going in.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of, like, growing up in my house, like we had a scanner. And now it's tough because they went to digital, so you can't hear what the police say. You can hear what the fire department still says, but the information gets relayed. It's not. The dispatcher doesn't keep it from.
Yeah, well,
and it would go out over the radio. It's I don't know. And like I said, this is not a bash on cops segment of the show because that's just not me. But this is a bash on what happened there.
In this situation,
Yes.
Like this group of men and women,
I don't know. I don't know, but
apparently made some mistakes.
Yeah, I just feel like it's.
So even though it said it was kicked back, I did end up getting through to Zeta, but she's like, what the hell? I don't think she understands. I'm trying to ask her to go turn off the water out in the front yard.
Luckily, the show's almost over, and then you can shut your water off.
Well, it's probably no more coming out because...
Your well's not going to run out of water. You have an
That's not the well. I have that pump or whatever, right? The water pressure goes. If I run that thing for an hour straight, there's hardly any water pressure in the house. Is that not good?
Yeah, it sounds like you need a new well tank.
Really? Some more money to spend. I got a.
You know who puts in well tanks?
You.
This guy. All right. Positive meme of the day, and this is really true. I like this one. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after an experience will become your trademark. And that's very true. Like, if you're a smiley person, and like, people remember that. Like, I always remember, or I always think of Shannon McMichael, Noise Rush Fireworks, like, always smiling. Like, her personality is just that way. She's always smiling. So I think that's important.
What do you think about me? I have never, hardly ever smiled.
What do I think? Did you want to wrap the show up, or?
I'm just kidding, man.
No,
I'm just making fun of my paralysis just because I probably should have smiled a lot more when I was younger. One of those, I got some old man wisdom. Smile if you can. Laugh. I find laughter helps with a lot of things.
Yeah, that's why comedies are made. Like,
yeah, I generally only watch comedies and action adventure.
yeah, 'cause you like to laugh.
I like to laugh. It uplifts the spirit. You feel better.
It does.
It's positive.
So speaking of Noise R Us fireworks, thank you to all our sponsors. So obviously Noise R Us. Now's the time to get your fireworks before the 4th. And they'll obviously be open all day on the 4th. But if you wait too long, so she said 50% off until June 30th. And that could extend, but it will depend. So that should be incentive. Because basically you go there and everything is half the price that it's, so it's like 2 for 1 or whatever. It's a good deal. So yeah, as you're heading out of Claremont on John Stark Highway, on the left, boom, Noise Rush Fireworks, Twin State Paving. If you have any paving needs, seal coating, they do that too. Emilio's helping them. Well, not helping, he's working for them this summer. And I didn't know they did seal coating as much as they do, I guess. But Little Arthur does the seal coating stuff, and Big Arthur does the paving stuff. So, yeah. So if you get your driveway seal coated, most likely my son will be there to help seal coat your driveway. Which you have a big driveway.
Yeah. Can we do it in quarters?
I'm sure.
Do pay for a half?
I keep telling you.
I got to split my oil purchases up over the next 4 months.
Seal coating that driveway is going to save you an awfully expensive driveway. Like,
no, I know.
Yeah, very expensive.
I mean, I thought about trying to do like the upper portion by myself. I've been watching videos, reading on.
I've done it.
Products.
It sucks, and they're so much faster and better at it. I would just call and get a price. Because once you go buy the bucket, and if you have a little dinky driveway, okay, maybe you're going to get a bucket or two of that stuff, and all right, but you don't have a dinky driveway.
No, my driveway is about a quarter mile long.
Yeah, you probably have I don't know.
It's like a city street.
Yeah, yours repaving your driveway is probably like $50,000.
Oh, at least.
Yeah, it might be. Well, yeah, $50,000 in my mindset of prices before everything's gone nuts.
If that comes to it, I'll just end up driving on it until it turns into gravel.
And I just want to say, you have a very long driveway with like you're not the normal driveway. So don't be like, oh my God, I can't get my driveway paved. Tim just said it was $50,000. No. Steve's driveway is not the norm of driveways. It's long, and then at the top here, it's big up here.
Yeah,
so
it's a big open space.
And then obviously, Wicked Awesome Adventures, Christy Kibbe. Reach out for any of your travel stuff.
Probably going to reach out to her pretty soon once I get Zeta's dates for coming home for.
Yeah, so flights, or if you want to go on vacation somewhere and you don't know where you want to go, or like for me, I've always like cruises, because cruises you stop at islands and you can explore islands, and that's how I discovered that like Aruba is like my favorite place I've ever been, and because of cruising. And some people are like, oh, I don't like cruising, or I get seasick. Like, listen, I've been on 13 cruises, I think, and I always took the little patch thing so I didn't get seasick, but I think I could go on a cruise now and not like have to worry about it, because typically you don't usually feel it. Like, the boats are big, like they're big boats, and the thing I like about them, it's like like everything, you live there for that week or whatever your cruise length is. They feed you, it's all included. Everything's included except for like alcoholic drinks, but then you get a drink package which covers your drinks, and then you get to go to different places and excursions. And so for me, like, I love cruises, but if you want to go on an all inclusive, any of that, Christy's been so many places that hopefully someday I can go to some more places, but she's been everywhere and can totally hook you up with any of that stuff. So reach out to her. And yeah, once again, definitely thank you to all our sponsors.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, today's Tuesday. I get lose track of days now, and it's nuts, but
yeah, I got a busy day ahead of us.
We do. Gonna plant some vegetables. Let's get the tractor still. Yeah, good times.
Better get moving.
I know. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.